You are listening to Something Rather Than Nothing. Creator and host, Ken Vellante. Editor and producer, Peter Bauer.
Hey everybody, this is Ken Vellante with the Something Rather Than Nothing podcast, and got a special guest here, April Fox. Let me tell you a little bit a background. I was on Instagram, and where I like to look for a lot of art and artists and what they're doing, videos, and encountered April's Doom yoga class. And for me, April, as an enthusiast of doom metal, which really, for me, when I moved to Pacific Northwest, dropped into such a heavy, beautiful dedication to the movement, and people go to the concerts and stuff, love doom music. And also for my own like health and breathing and everything, my partner Jenny's a yoga practitioner, and I try to go once a week. But I was like, oh my gosh, doom yoga, hadn't seen it before. You put it out there. So April, tell us about like this great thing that you've created.
Well, what's funny is I don't really think of it as a thing that I created. So when I moved to the Pacific Northwest in 2014, it was right around there that somebody asked me to go to a yob show. And I was like, they're like, you like metal, come to yob. I'm like, okay, cool. What's this yob thing? And I was spending my afternoons at the park by my house and just practicing yoga in the park. I'm like, I'll listen to this yob thing so I know if I want to go to the show. And so I'm practicing yoga and I'm listening to the music. And it was the Prepare the Ground album, and that breakdown at the start of In Our Blood just like hit at the right moment. I was like, oh, this shit's really cool. And then I would just be talking to people. They're like, oh, what do you do for fun? And I would say, oh, haha, I practice yoga to doom metal. And they're like, oh, wait, where do you do that? Because I want to do that with you. And so I started teaching the classes just by request, really. Yeah. I was a full-time yoga teacher at the time. I teach yoga and I teach dance and fitness classes and stuff like that. So it was something that I was already set up to do, but the metal came by request. People said, no, I really, really, really want to do that with you. Please make it happen. And it's been going for about 10 years now.
It's incredible. I think about grounding, and I think about doom metal music. And for folks who might, heavy metal music, doom, if you're not familiar with the doom metal, and it's kind of, for me is like a really tuned low grounding. Percussion has like an important role within, and it's very moody and slow in general. And talking about yoga, I was wondering about that, like right up front. In practicing yoga and the body practice, what are your thoughts about the sounds, like sounds in general, as they come into you as you're practicing, and how that fills out the experience?
Oh man, there's so much with that. Well,
yeah.
So talking about like, if people aren't familiar with doom metal, like I talk to people all the time. They say, what do you do for a living? I teach doom metal yoga. They're like, that sounds very strange. Like, no. Here, you're thinking of metal as like, and this metal is, It is. It's very grounded.
You described it. Thank you. I'm over here analytically being like, hey, and they. That's it. Thank you.
But that groundedness, like that low resonance stuff, there's so many things that are deep in the full philosophy of yoga, right? And yoga is not just stretching our hamstrings, right? Yoga is so very, very many things, and has been for a really long time. And in yoga, we chant Om. And Om is supposed to be the sound that the universe makes, or the sound that God made to make the universe, or the sound that like everything like has this like similar frequency. And so it's the sound of connection. And so many doom artists are yoga practitioners, meditators, Eastern philosophy buffs. So like all of those things really impact the music that they're making. And, we have so many folks who go to gong meditations and sound baths and crystal singing bowls, and the specific creation of seed sounds and the way that mantras come off of the tongue. Like all of this stuff is so very much tied to impacting our energy and having like different intentions. One of the Sanskrit words that we've been focusing on lately in my classes is Purnam, which is wholeness. And so the sound that you make really does make a big difference. And it's really neat to be able to have this whole genre of music that's just like, let me make this sound for like 20 minutes straight.
Yeah.
And then to be able to integrate with that with our practice is a really
patience is like, I'm thinking of words like patience, like that. There's a patience in there. When I had the experience, I had mentioned, I listen to a lot of different type of music. Doom metal, see live tends to be my favorite experience to go to. And when I moved from Wisconsin about 15 years ago out to Pacific Northwest, and I'm going to shows. And for me, it was like being blessed by this like excess, right? Like as a concert goer, as like, affordable tickets, like bands that I think are huge bands in my doom head that are very accessible, playing with other bands for like a really good price, and just and I'm doing that consistently. Most of the time it's going myself, because I began to realize there was a communion there, right? And the moment of realization within that, I'm not sure exactly when it was, but it was through the grounding of the sound. It was like how I was moving next to other people. I was safe environment, which you tend to be in these type of environments. And there was a connection between some of the Buddhist meditation I had heard, and the droning and the grounding and the percussion, like that there would be regular percussion that wasn't interested on finishing or hurrying up or anything like that. That was like the huge like body and soul underneath, and it was like that physical experience, right, of being wrung out a little bit within that. That I was like, man, I'm in church. I'm in my metal church. And is, that spiritual piece of it with the work you're thinking is like, sometimes I think our brain obviates away from that to be like, oh, it's not spiritual, or spiritual needs to be in this type of way. But I experienced it in, around other human beings, communion, music, and atmosphere. So, thinking about your class and where that's pulled right in, deliberately. So, as a matter of experience, tell us just some basics about like a class that you would hold, and some of your intention around the sound and what you're trying to bring a practitioner through, because it is a unique experience that you're presenting to them. So, some thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, I make a new playlist about every month. That way we don't get too sick of things, but I don't have to make a new playlist every day because I'd go crazy. And I try to structure it around like a softer intro and a softer outro. So we start class with, call it a Dharma talk. It's a little bit of philosophy talk. I'll maybe talk about something with current events and how we manage that in the lens of our yoga practice. Also drawing a lot from Buddhist teachings as well, because there's a lot of interweaving in those Eastern philosophies.
Yeah.
So we do a little bit of chit chat. I try to engage people in conversation. It's funny. It's always different groups want to talk to me, and different groups just kind of sit there like, I don't know, I'm going to say the wrong answer. But, we breathe. I do pranayama, which is like breath work and adapting the breath, because different types of breath work impact the oxygen in your brain, which impacts your consciousness. There's all kinds of like really interesting neuroscience about that work. So a chanting of Om, always some breathing, and we move the body. And we call them deep dark yoga, the doom metal yoga classes. Those specifically I structure to be very slow, mostly because of the music, right? Like the music is so slow. Like I would feel kind of disconnected just running around and moving. Hi, Miss. One of my dogs is very curious, but she doesn't.
Oh, yeah. Pets are like total guests on the show. So.
Oh yeah, here they go. They're gonna come in here soon.
Yes.
But the movement's really slow, and the other reason, aside from the music, is that a lot of people come to these classes for the very, very first time they're doing yoga. Like they've never thought they would belong in a yoga studio. They didn't think that it was the kind of thing that they would enjoy. But this is, I get a lot of, my partner made me come to this. Like, shit, my back hurts. People keep telling me I should do yoga, but this is the only yoga that I want to do. People come in and they haven't really practiced before. Maybe they're a lot stiffer. Things aren't as familiar. So we go really, really slow just to give the opportunity for people to be able to catch up. But if anybody listening out there is into movement, they will also know that slow is not necessarily easy. It is often much harder to go slow intentionally. So there's a challenge for everyone. Oh, there you are. Hello. This is Jezebel.
We got Jezebel joining the show. Not too much responses to the questions thus far, but very happy to have you in the studio. I really appreciate your thoughts and thinking about like the philosophy up ahead of it. I encountered Buddhist philosophy in particular when I was studying philosophy at the graduate level. So it was very analytical way of bringing into it, but you can't do Buddhism analytically and know what it is. There's aspects of practice and understanding within sitting, meditation, and otherwise. So it's like really great to hear, because for me, it's like, I don't need to be doing all the mind stuff, but I like to begin like yoga or anything with the intention and thinking about those type of questions and having that there. So I just really, I love the format, and it's great. Like even as far as the people going to yoga, it's like the idea of entering the stream, right? It's like wherever you're gonna, like, I got dragged into the stream. Somebody brought me here, or I'm here by accident, or I really heard the music. I don't know what yoga is, but like, it's like, I like that openness, in that feel. How popular is it? Like, this is Portland, Doom Yoga. Like, what's going on? Is this a big thing?
It's become a pretty big thing. I have often had very large classes, and a lot of it is, the community is very connected, right? Like I go to shows and I know most of the people, which is really neat. So that has been pretty consistent. And then back in July, my Instagram started blowing up, and now I run a bunch of online classes that are pretty consistent. Our in-person classes in Portland, the weekend ones are always sold out, and then the weekday, it's a big group, and we had to move to 8 o'clock, and I was like, oh, nobody's gonna come because that's really late, but it turns out that's just really late to me. Everybody else is happy to be there at 8 o'clock.
People are hungry. They need it, right? So you reflect what they need, and man, it's great chatting about that. I wanted to ask you one of the big conceptual questions of the show as a creator yourself, and the way your brain works, and thinking about like art and do art and philosophy, and talk some philosophy here and what we've been talking about with the Doom Yoga. But I just I wanted to ask the question for you, and you can answer it within the context of like the music or the yoga in general. But for you, what is art? What is art for you, April?
It's like I think I might answer your question a little bit differently than you're asking it. I think for me, art is this capacity to connect with other people, right? Like to be able to speak outside of language or using language, right? Like, art is writing and singing, etc. But the way that art has impacted my life is that I was able to experience something that allowed me to feel whole. Like, oh, what I am doing right now is meaningful. And like art for me at the beginning was listening to music and like singing into my hairbrush as a child and to like dance around the room. But like that was like, oh, I feel whole when I do this.
Yeah.
And my pathway as an artist and becoming a dancer was to realize like, what a cool gift it is if I can at any moment help anybody else to feel this sense of wholeness and purpose. So I want to help other people experience art. And for me, that was dance, and I wanted to teach movement. And then I discovered yoga. And yoga had that exact same impact on me. It was like the second time I was in a class and I'm struggling because I want to get the pose perfect because I was a dancer, right? You have to be perfect all of the time.
Yeah.
And the teacher comes over to me. She's like, it's fine if it's not perfect today. And I was like, whoa,
Huge switch.
I can do that here too. Like I can just be in this thing. And so that adapted my life's mission and my life's work. And that's the way that I teach is like, I'm just here to be a facilitator for the idea, to give you the tools to be able to make the art of movement, to practice. I call it the art of paying attention, which is kind of incredible. And if like every couple days for 5 minutes I can help one person say like, oh yeah, like I am in this, I am whole, I am connected to this moment right here, like it's all worth it. That's just all I want to do.
No, it's a beautiful piece like that is central to my thinking about art, and like underneath, like as I investigate, is like being yourself, feeling whole, feeling like just feeling whole, right? Like there's this piece, and when art does that for folks, and you mentioned in like movement and things like that, I talking to more artists who engage in movement, for me it's been like a real switch to really think about it a different way and see myself in that way through dancing and other ways of moving, again being so riddled in my head at times analytically, not realizing or not like fully seeing the expanse of speech that has to do with us as humans in movement and yoga. And there's like great beauty in that, but I became more like you were talking about, like doing things imperfectly. I was like, I don't need to, if it's within movement, I was saying, I don't need to express myself perfectly that way, because when I'm using my mouth here, it's not perfect either. It's like,
Yeah.
it's imperfect. like
Go out into your garden, and like out of all your tomatoes, like 2 of them are going to look like something that should be sold in the stores,
yeah,
right?
you take the picture of those.
Yeah. Nature's not perfect either, man. Like it's okay. The bar is much lower than we hold ourselves to, and I don't mean that in the way of giving up. I mean that in the way of like, no, you have all, you can totally like go, like you don't have to be up here.
It's like the something I find is like there's this idea, like it's tied to the show and not trying to be cute, of like whether you're doing something like or nothing, right? Because like yoga at the basis of it is like, sometimes you look at it, it's like I've made all this progress to lay on my stomach, to be comfortable and to be moving into that, but it's like something you intuitively can do, but you need to get there to realize you're doing really great things with your body. And it's like more simple, right? Like it's more simple than we think. But I think some of the misperceptions around yoga has to do with the many interpretations of it. Like I've been in that like TV show, like white suburban yoga class, hot yoga, like 75 minutes. Like if you didn't pass out and you didn't die, like, and I've been like, okay, like we're all like as adults, like even when we're students, we're always like, you always want to pass the test, right? And then I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, and I want to keep up with the gals here, but I didn't know it was going to be 100 degrees and this was going to be the biggest workout I've had in 4 years. So, anyways, there's many different variations of yoga, and for different people and stuff. And I think sometimes when people kind of bump into your spot, I think it's probably pretty interesting. They're like, this is yoga? Like, this is yoga? And it's like, yeah. Yeah, and April, and talking to you about like the different ways that people like would encounter yoga, and kind of many different ideas that people have about it. You find like when people kind of bump into you and they really like what they see, they feel like a relief, or like kind of like, oh, this is something that I can really like, I don't know, like improve my life with as a relief, or based on misperceptions of yoga, maybe, or like forms of yoga.
Yeah, I mean, there's The conversation about all of the different kinds of yoga is probably bigger than I think your audience cares about at all. Like the amount of yoga that is the poses is like such a really, really small part in the grand scheme of things. Like, but as far as, you know, in the West, like the genie's out of the bottle. Okay. Like yoga in the West and in the world today is primarily focused on the asana. Even the really good stuff that says philosophy, you know, restraint and breath and meditation and all of that stuff, even when it includes that, most of the time it's the movement. And you know, there are like so many people think like, oh, yoga, do you do it in 100-degree room? And I say no, because I'm not going to sit in 100-degree room.
I did that.
I'm not okay with that. But there are people who do, and I think that's wonderful. You should do that.
Yeah.
And you know, like I also have people say like, oh, you shouldn't practice yoga to metal or music at all, and you're appropriating and fucking it up, and that's not how you're supposed to do it. It's okay, well, you clearly feel like you should practice yoga in silence, and I think you should practice yoga in silence. And that's
Totally fine. Totally fine.
Are doing that, but you know, this is a specific container and just a different lens of looking at it, where we say, you know, we're going to get in here, we're going to use our real human adult bodies that probably don't do everything that we want them to be able to do, and to be able to adapt that into a way that makes sense and isn't that whole like, oh shit, I didn't pass the test and I didn't do the crazy one-armed handstand she asked me to or whatnot.
Just lovely. I had a big question about I have the big philosophical question. The reason why I wanted to ask you, I tend to ask it in general, but I wanted to ask you in particular. I think about Buddhism, and I think about like concepts of something and nothing. And for me, like there's a lot of I think that there's one thing as far as like with some of the traditions we've alluded to is that like within the philosophical tradition of the East is like that there's an idea of like an inherent emptiness of like things containing an essence in and of themselves. But like the idea of emptiness or nothingness isn't like a vacuous like idea, which it can be a lot of times in the West. So like I like messing with with that question, but I'm going to ask you the big question because you get the chops for it, is why is there something rather than nothing?
Well, it's that nothing doesn't exist. There's no nothing. Meditation, you know, we think of meditation like, oh, I'm really bad at meditation because I'm really bad at stopping my thoughts. Like, dude, you can't stop your thoughts. You'd have to shut the brain down. If you shut the brain down, you're dead. You're not meditating anyway.
Yeah.
And we say, Sat Nam, I am. And I am is a complete sentence. And we try to finish that sentence with, I am a podcaster. I am a yoga teacher. I am a lady with 2 dogs and blue hair. Like, and those things, like they make us feel this sense of more fullness to finish that sentence. But you are already full and wonderful and complete without all of that, right? Like we can contain multitudes. Like I could either spend my entire life trying to finish that sentence in as many ways as possible, or I could just enjoy the magical excellence of being in this life and just being. Just something I'm practicing continuously, of course.
Well, I appreciate learning from you. This is my secret drive in all the episodes that I do, is to be able to learn from you. April, tell us about the spots in Portland. And folks, we're talking here, it's March 2026, but I wanted to get some, like where the yoga is. You mentioned in Portland, the type of offerings and the online offerings, because I want folks and listeners, you'll be able to listen. You might have heard some pieces before earlier in the episode. You'll be able to listen to some of the sounds in Maple's class, but some specifics, April, about your program there in Portland.
Right. Well, the OG class is once a month. We meet it's at the People's Yoga on Southeast Hawthorne. There's 2 People's Yogas. I do teach there in their regular classes, but I just rent the space. So one Saturday a month we meet there. Those classes are packed to the gills, super great energy. I love it. If you want to get in it, you got to sign up for that. And then I also run a weekly online class, and I do that twice a week, and it's just on Zoom. So I have people join literally from all over the world. I lived in Australia for a while. We've got Australians. I've got people in Brazil, Germany. Time the classes so that like the Monday class is in the morning for us US folks, and it's in the evening for UK folks. And then Wednesday is at 6 p.m. Pacific, so kind of the after work crowd for us. And we also do a class on Tuesday nights. It's at 8 p.m. Pacific, and that gets streamed too, but it happens at Elk Rock Yoga, and that's the one on Woodstock, so kind of further out southeast Portland, but it's a nice studio space there. I get to turn down the lights and put a bunch of blue tea lights in the room, so I have my own vibe, and their sound system's incredible, which I'm very happy about. And we have that consistently on Tuesday nights.
Well, I'll be seeing you live in person at some point in the near future to practice.
Yeah.
To practice in person. I've been talking about this. My a good friend of mine mentioned this to his name's Eric, and Eric's really influential on the doom metal. And for me, I've known Eric going back. We studied philosophy together ages ago, going back 30 years ago, and Eric has the largest that I know of. He never switched off collecting CDs. Never switched. Stayed consistent throughout. Like, this is how I'm going to get my doom metal album, and has the most extensive doom metal CD catalog in the history. And he's already said he willed it to me and everything. So I don't know if I'm going to get a museum. God bless him. I hope he's around forever, but supposedly. So, but just like, being around people who are super enthusiastic and throwing in around it, particularly around music, just really love the vibe, and really look forward to both like online and folks, listeners, check it out. Or if, we have a lot of listeners in Pacific Northwest, there in Portland, but of course April, I believe it's April Kind of Rocks, your handle on Instagram. So you can find April there, and like a lot of good short videos, folks, and like learning like some disparate, components and exposing yourself to doom yoga. So yay on you, April. I'm a big fan. Thank you. Like, thanks for jumping in and like, I don't know, talking philosophy and doom and yoga.
Thank you so much. I forgot to mention, you were saying talk about like the whole website. There are on-demand videos on the website too. So there's like shorties that are like 10, 15 minutes, and then there's longer practices. So I do record things and put them up there. So I had somebody say like, oh no, that's too early for me. Like, I'm a night owl. Well, I'm not. So you're going to have to do the on-demand things. So there's a lot in there. So opportunities outside of the live thing as well. But the live thing is cool because then we get the direct communication and community aspect of it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's like, for anybody out there, with the videos and stuff like that, just connect it to the sound system you have and get on the floor. The entry point is, doesn't have to be too, assuming you're able to, and, physically and such, but the entry point in general, some music and the ground. So, appreciate the welcome, April. So great to talk to you. Everybody check out April's April Kind of Rocks website. And it was a deep dark yoga. And I don't know, let's all make ourselves healthy, more complete. And one thing I learned from you is that the sentence can be done after I am.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ken. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, April. Thanks, April. Great pleasure.
This is Something Rather Than Nothing.